Well, I'm with Trevor Lawrence. He wants to play, and I want to watch him play. So I talked to the Southeastern Conference Commissioner last week. There's a lot of discussion going on. We all want to play football. We all want to go back to school. There's an effort in Washington to pass another bill. It would help immensely. So if you're running a university, what do you think about if you put on a football game? Liability. What are the rules? If you follow the rules, are you protected from being sued? There's a liability provision in Phase 4 that would make it easier to open up schools and play college football, because you want the universities to follow the rules. If they do, they need to be rewarded. Number one, you need to set rules and reward people for following the rules. There's a lot of money in this bill for testing. The governor's got a very ambitious plan to expand testing in South Carolina. Guess what? The more money we have in the system, the better we can do it. And let's stop paying companies billions of dollars that take 5 days to get the test result back. Let's expedite all this stuff. So the bottom line is, I think Phase 4 is needed sooner rather than later. $1,200 for everybody that makes less than $75,000. I'll just end on this. Every governor, every senator, the president's got competing choices here. Yes, we can stop the infection rate better if you shut the entire country down. That has its own problems. Opioid addiction is going through the roof. It's not a viable, sustainable option to shut America down. The best way to open the country back up is to follow what we're doing here. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay away from each other, use good common sense. So I'm hoping this week we'll have a breakthrough. I spent the weekend with the president. He did an executive order to keep unemployment benefits at the federal level going forward. I think we cannot pay people more not to work than to work. That's hurt going back to work, but I'm all for helping people who are unemployed. We need to get our act together in Washington. Democrats and Republicans sit down and get this done, and we're very close. PPP, one last thing. There are a lot of companies who got the PPP loan because they had no customers. It kept them from having to lay off all their workforce. There's another proposal in this bill to continue that program. That's why we need to get something done this week.
You think you're very close?
Very. I think we've agreed on PPP. We've agreed on payments for individuals. We've agreed on testing. If you want to open up the University of South Carolina in Clemson, we've got money for every university in this country to prepare for opening. Bob Jones here, the president, told me they may have spent up to $1 million to safely open up this university, and there's money in there for private schools as well to help reimburse them so they can go on about educating people. And what brought us here today is healthcare professionals. The frontline troops in the war against the virus are the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare professionals. We need reinforcements. Every graduate from this university is going to find a job day one. And what I like about the university is they have a global approach to this. If you've been to Africa, like I have many times, if we don't deal with Africa, it's going to come back here. So I like the idea that the people at Bob Jones University understand when it comes to pandemic, it's a global problem, just not a South Carolina problem.
Senator, what aren't you willing to compromise on this bill?
I'm willing to help state and local government. We did $150 billion last time, but a lot of states hadn't spent all the money. $1 trillion is ridiculous. That's just bailing people out who've run their states poorly. South Carolina's done a damn good job, sorry about that, for a very long time keeping taxes low and get businesses to come. Now, we're not going to have a $1 trillion bill to bail people out who've run their states poorly. We will have money to help South Carolina open back up and have schools go back safely. That's the biggest hang-up. And I want to help people who are unemployed. But here's what I've learned growing up in central South Carolina. If you pay somebody $23 an hour not to work, they'll take you up on it. What do you say to somebody in a hospital, a nurse's aide making $18 an hour, going to work every day, exposing themselves to the COVID? So I want to have unemployment enhanced, but not to exceed your actual wages.
Governor, the Senator just mentioned the executive orders that the President signed on Friday. The one on enhanced unemployment benefits requires states to kick in a quarter of the funds. The 3/4 would come from the federal government and 1/4 from the states, and they have to opt
400 and 100.
Right. Will South Carolina participate in that program?
Yes. Well, Senator Graham has the right. He has the best idea of all, I believe. But yes, we don't want our people to be to be hurt by the virus.
Even if it costs the state a significant amount
Well,
of money.
we're spending some money now.
So what happens is we're going through the Stafford program, which has a matching component. It is a program to help a state who deals with disasters. This is a disaster, okay? People are shut down, out of work, not because they wanted to be out of work, just to deal with the virus. A lot of people have had to basically close their businesses. So the 75-25% match can be waived, but we're trying to incentivize people going back to work and at the same time help those who've lost their job. If you pay people more not to work than they were making at work, you'll never open up this economy. Now, I've tried to be generous. I'm the first Republican to reach across the aisle and say, let's put a federal benefit on top of state benefits. But I never dreamed we would do this. I never dreamed that we would pay people more not to work than to work. So let's get this right. And the executive order is not the route, but it's the only route available to the president. To my Democratic colleagues, we cannot continue to pay people more not to work than work. Let's be generous, but let's be smart. Let's be reasonable. Let's get this done.
Senator Graham, you're here in your home state, South Carolina. You see the number of cases here. Would you have done anything differently with the COVID response here in the state?
I'm just telling you the best I can that this pandemic started in China. And I thought it would come back in the fall, meaning that the summer would be better. The summer hasn't really slowed the virus down. I am all behind the governor trying to reopen our state. We had 6 weeks of stay at home. Remember that? 6 weeks where most of us couldn't go out and do much. If you want to destroy the economy of South Carolina, do that again. I think the spread of the virus is being handled in South Carolina in a responsible way by trying to tell businesses what they need to do to be safe, telling all of us what we need to do to be helpers, right? And when the governor said we're not going to shut down again in South Carolina, that is music to my ears, because the downside of shutting down South Carolina or the country as a whole is really large. Nobody talks about it. So I think the governor has got it right here, but all of us can do our part.
Last question.